Hello guys, welcome to Photographics Academy. All right, so today we are going to be jumping on this image. Okay, so of course, definitely before now you must have seen the before and after. In case you have not seen it, this is it on the screen. This is the before, which is exactly what we'll have in our camera raw, and this is the after of the image. So we're going to be jumping on this image. I'm going to be showing you step-by-step guide on how we're able to transform this image into something amazing. Okay, so this image was submitted by one of our students all the way from Nigeria. His name is John the Multimedia. Just the way he just came up on your screen. Go and check him out on his social media handles. He's a great guy. All right, so let's quickly get started with the tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to correct the lightning. Let me just make some adjustment to the lightning. So looking at the image, the first thing that is standing out to me is that the image is slightly underexposed. So I'm going to increase the exposure. Yeah. So I'm going to start from there, increase the exposure. So as my exposure starts going up, I notice that the clothes she's wearing starts bouncing out light. So it's creating two things. It's becoming too exposed and it's creating haze in the shot. And to correct that, I'm going to reduce my highlight to bring down the lightning on the dress. And the haziness, I'm going to correct using the haze in camera raw so that it brings in a little bit of contrast and probably add a little contrast to it. So when you do this, you should know that it takes away brightness from your image. And I do not want to take up my exposure again because it's going to affect the image. A lot of places will start clipping. So what I'm going to do, since darkness is in the shadows, the dark areas, they are in the shadows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my shadows like this, just to open up the shadows a little and probably a little bit of the blacks. Add a little more contrast. Beautiful. So you notice that the image just came out. So I think the exposure I need to increase a little bit. All right, so now the second thing I want to do is to work on the white balance. So I'm noticing that if you come very close, you start noticing that the image has some green cast on it. And to fix that, I'm just going to move my tint towards magenta, and it's going to take away some green cast, and I'm going to cool it down a little this way. Okay, this is too much. We'll keep it here. Nice. So we can practically start working with this now. So this is the thing I'm going to do, or the thing I did on this image in my camera raw. Let me quickly show you the before and after. So this was the image when we came into camera raw. This was the image just with few clicks that we've done. So let's quickly go into Photoshop and start doing the main job. All right, welcome back. So we are in Photoshop right now. The first thing definitely we'll do is to crop the image. So I'm going to just go to my crop tool. Make sure you are cropping with 8:4:5. In case you want this image for practicing along as the tutorial is going on, just go to the description below and make your download. Just download the image. It's free so that you can practice along and be doing exactly what I'm doing and be getting the same result. So just crop it out this way. Then I need to give them a little space like this. Push them towards the middle just a little, then press OK with your content aware on so that it fills some areas, then we'll fill the rest manually. Okay, so let's quickly make some corrections. If you look at this edge, you're going to notice some vignette effect. I believe this must have been from the lens. This must have been from the lens. So I'm just going to select this area like this, press Ctrl T and just stretch it out. Nice. Okay, so we have that. Do the same thing over here. Ctrl T and stretch it out. Beautiful. So pick up your close stamp, your patch tool, whatever you're going to use to fix this area. So I need to remove this. Beautiful. Do the same thing over here. Okay, I think this was too much. Nice. Okay, so we'll drop it here. So we are quickly fixing our background so that we remove all the distractions we'll have on it. All right, beautiful. Okay, so I think we are missing out on one area. Let's check. And the top. So I'm going to just make this selection, press Ctrl T and drag it all the way to the up. All right, beautiful. Okay, so now let's quickly get straight to work. All right, so I'm going to first of all take care of the blemishes on her face. I'm noticing some blemishes over here, and to do that, I'm going to load up my frequency separation action. This is a 16-bit image, so I'm going to run the 16 bits, and I will keep my Gaussian blur at 3 because it's a full body image. Between 3 or 2, let me do 2, so the effect can be visible. You'll be able to see it. I'll press OK. So when you run your frequency separation, pick up your clone stamp tool or your patch tool and just fix the blemishes on her face using your high frequency. Stay in your high frequency layer and just fix these blemishes quickly. Make sure your clone stamp sample is set to current layer so it doesn't sample from the colors as well. So we check for the man. He doesn't have blemishes that much, so just fix 1 or 2. Okay, we are good to go. So now let's quickly pick up our mixer brush tool and just paint over the skin. I believe by now you understand the rules in case you do not. So when using frequency separation, the mixer brush tool version, make sure that you are avoiding painting your shadows into your highlights. So all you need to do is just to paint the places that has highlights in them separately and paint the places that are the shadows separately. Then if you need to blend the two of them together like I'm doing now, make your brush big enough that half of it will be in your highlights and half of it will be in your shadow. Obviously, that place is the mid-tone, then just run over it and it's going to mix it together perfectly for you. Okay, so quickly, let me show you how you can fix all these rumples on the dress. So I'm done with the skin. Let me show you. This is the before, this is the after. Just a very subtle change. You don't need to do so much. Just a very subtle change. Now, what I'm going to do is I notice that her dress has a lot of foldings and wrinkles and ruffles. So what I'm going to show you now is how you can quickly iron your dress using your frequency separation. So just staying on the mixer brush tool. Now, if you notice that okay, so this is working. What I wanted to say was that if you have a lot of texture retained in your high frequency, this may not work for you. So what you should do is to run another frequency separation with a lower number of Gaussian blur so that you will have a lot of details in your color, so you can clean off the textures that is folded. So looking at this one, we have a lot of details here, so we use it to fix the textures. Just watch me do it. Just the same way you do your frequency separation, but just use your mixer brush and run over it just a little bit of more time. You are good to go. So at this point, you can increase your wet and your flow so that you don't spend so much time doing this. All right, so quickly in this one, so the next thing we are going to be doing, okay, so I think I need to fix here as well. Sorry. All right, so the next thing we are going to be doing is to run our done for you retouch action. Done for you retouch action. So I'm just going to flatten this brother magic. Let me just flatten. So I'm going to load up my done for you retouch action, and I'm going to click on done for you and I'm putting my Gaussian blur at 2, so I will see the effect very, very well. Then I'll press OK. All right, we are done. This is the before, this is the after. So look at the way it brought even more contrast into the image, brought a little bit of dodging and burning effect into the image. So I'm going to obviously reduce the opacity like this. Beautiful, so it doesn't get too much. Nice. So if you do not want it on your background, which I do not think is a problem, you can as well create a mask for it and delete it and you are good to go. So now let's get straight to working on the background. I'm going to add a little contrast. Go to auto contrast, just open things up a little. Yeah, so I'm going to open up the shadows slightly. Press OK. Now let's work on the background. I'm going to make a selection of the object, and once I'm done doing that, I'm going to zoom in to modify my selection. Okay, so we are done with modifying our selection. The next thing I'm going to do is to separate my object from my background. So duplicate your background by clicking on your object and go to layer via cut. So you will have them on a separate background. hold your control, click on the thumbnail to reload the selection. Make sure you're on the background, go to your filter, go to blur, go to Gaussian blur, smoothing the background out. Yeah, just enough to make sure that it's smooth. Now let's introduce a different background entirely into this image, and that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to show you. So the background we're going to be using in this particular video, we are giving it out to you for free, and just a little few other ones that you can as well try in your images. But to cap it all, we'll have over 400 hyper realistic backgrounds that we are giving out to you this period just for a token. So if you want to make purchases of this hyper realistic background, go to the description of the video, click on the store link to get access to where you will purchase them. And trust me, these are hyper realistic. We are going to be using few of them in this particular image to see the result on this image. So the first one I think I want to use is the same one you saw on the after of the video of the picture. So let me just quickly locate it. I had it on my screen. Where did it go to? All right, so I think it's here. Yeah, this one. So we'll just drag it over here and place it over our image, scale it in just enough to fit in, and press OK. Then make sure your object is dragged all the way to the up like this. So when you drag it all the way to the up, the next thing you're supposed to do is to go to your background and just fit it in. Just like that. So I want to try as much as possible to make it look like what you saw in our after. And what I did was I shifted them towards the edge of the background. Yeah, just like that. Beautiful. Just like that. But I think I expanded a little to bring it in more. Reduced a little more of the height. Yeah, beautiful. Press OK. And when you do that, change the blend mode quickly to overlay. The magic one. All right, so now the problem is that the image is lost in the background, because the background of course is going to assume the color cast of the beneath background, and we do not want that because our image is already looking so warm. Yeah, she's wearing a warm clothes, the background is warm, so everything is going to be so messy that you're not even going to be able to concentrate on the object, which we do not want. The idea is that you concentrate just on the object and not the background. The background is just to make it look beautiful. And how do you fix that? Very simple. Create a new layer, a new adjustment layer in between the background and the original background. So I'm going to create a new adjustment, solid color layer. Now move the slider towards the gray. Make sure you pick a gray, and immediately neutralizes the color of the background behind it. But the problem is that we want to be able to restore our shadow from this one. We want to be able to restore our shadow from this one. So if we leave this one like this, if you look at the before and after, like I'm trying to hide it, so you notice that I'm able to be getting part of my shadows back, which I'll just use my brush to brush in. But the moment we introduce this gray, it's going to take away everything. We are not even going to be able to restore the shadow. How do you fix that? What is the blend mode that takes away everything that is 50% gray? It is overlay. So when we convert this, because that was why we had to pick a gray color, when we convert it to an overlay, when we put an overlay, what do they call it, blend mode, is going to find a way to hide what we have. It's going to allow us to unveil some of the original background shadows into the image, and we'll do the next thing and you'll be able to get exactly what you want. So the next thing we're going to be doing right now is to restore some shadows. Yeah, so you notice the moment I do before and after of the overlay of the color fill, you are just noticing that the colors are even popping a little more without the gray. The moment we introduce it, the colors are hiding. There are a lot of ways you can do this. You can even restore the shadows without having to remove this, by just duplicating this, placing it over here, and just painting it out, reducing the saturation. It's going to be a whole lot of work, but let me show you a very quick way I was able to do mine. So put this in overlay, make sure you restore some of your shadows, pick up your brush, just the floor, yeah, just like that. You can be doing the before and after to see exactly where the shadows fell, so you don't go and get everything back. Okay, so I think we are good with the shadows. Let's see the top. All right, so we are good with the shadows. Now what I did was I went to my background, selected a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and just reduced the saturation of the background. So you notice that immediately it starts beginning to lose color. I think we should use an adjustment layer so we'll be able to control it later. So just reduce it like this. Reduce the brightness to darken things up. Yeah, reduce the brightness to darken things up, and just move the hues slightly towards the magenta, and immediately we have a background that is separated. So this is the before, this is the after. You notice that the image is now standing out a little bit more. So one more thing you can do is just to create a curves adjustment layer and just darken it down slightly, just a little, and we are good to go. Now we have our object looking separated from the background but still properly blending in. So I think at this point I need to scale it in a little bit more. They're not looking like they are there to me. All right, so we'll just place it here. This is good. Okay, so let me change the perspective just slightly to fit in with what the leg has. Nice. Okay, beautiful. Press OK. Now let's start making some other adjustments to even bring it closer to the result we are looking for. Now, the next thing I want us to do is to darken the dress of the lady, because that is where the light is hitting and it's becoming and it's looking too brighter than the whole scene. It's making it look obviously unrealistic. So I'm going to go all the way to the back to the object, make a selection of this part of the dress first. Make sure you're not adding the trousers or the pants. Yeah, so go to your curves adjustment layer, reduce the brightness just like this. So you notice immediately I brought it down, everything started looking even more relatable. We'll do the same for this leg. I don't think I'm going to be darkening this one. Make sure the hand is removed. Use your curves, do the same thing. Nice one, beautiful. Okay, so you notice that we are having even a cooler color effect. Now look at the before, the after, the before, the after. So the brightness, we brought it down and the image is looking more relatable. So the last thing I want to do is to darken the top of the man, especially this area, because I noticed that the light bouncing on the white logo on her dress, on his dress rather, casted some grayish effect. So I'm going to just use curves and bring that down. Nice one, beautiful. All right, so the next thing I want to fix, so you notice that I'm going through the image one by one to fix a whole lot of stuff, is to show you how detailed you should be while working. So the next thing I want to fix is the hair. So the hair has a tint of orange to it, even though it's a black hair. So I'm just going to pick that and darken the hair down. Nice. Okay, so we'll have a black hair, but the problem is that the edge is too sharp. Click on the curves and click back on the mask. This is going to load up and just increase your feather to feather things out. Do the same thing for the lady's hair. This one, beautiful. All right. Pick up your curves and darken it down as well. Just like that. So if you notice it's having a green tint, you can as well reduce that from your curves. Make sure you feather when you do this. So I'm going to go into my curves, go to my greens. Opposite of green is magenta, so I'm just going to introduce a little magenta to it, and it takes away the green, and a little bit of the blue of blues to it, and it takes away the yellow. I think the blue is too much. Just like that, and the green as well. Beautiful. All right, so let's look at the overall before and after. So this is the before, this is the after, the before, the after. Notice how much we've been able to transform the image and even made it look a little bit more better than what it was looking like before. So I'm going to create one more curves adjustment layer and brighten up their skin, especially the man. So just brighten it up like this. Press Ctrl I, pick up your brush and paint it into his body. Just make him stand out. I notice he's slightly too dark into the whole stuff. All right, beautiful. All right, so the next thing we want to do is to create just a little separation. So I noticed that this part and this part is not exactly the same thing of the in the background. This is the foreground of this part of the background, and we can play with that. With that information, we can create something. So we can make a selection of this area, just like this, feather it maybe like 6, then blow it out a little. Yeah, that was what I wanted to do, just to give you that little bit of depth. Do not blow out so much that you lose details. Just like this. Nice. I think 12 is a beautiful place to stay. Control D. Now let's restore everything back. So you notice that the moment I created that blur effect, this is the before, this is the after, the image just got a little bit out of the background because we blurred out this area. You can zoom in to make sure you have a good masking. Yeah. So to fix these bears, I wanted to skip that because I know you won't see it, but to fix these bears, you can just go to the main image, create a mask for it, pick up your brush and just paint away part of the bears like this. It's going to still give you the original one, but to be taking away the original background from it. And that was how we were able to do that. So I'm going to create a stamp visible layer for all of this. The last thing I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure I have a very clean shoe. So I'm going to make a selection of their shoe using my quick selection tool just to give it a little bit of cleanness. Yeah, the rope and the rope. Beautiful. Okay, so when you have this, I don't know how good that mask is, but this is already getting too long. I'm not going to spend time on that. Once you have that selection, go to your black and white layer and boom, you just have a white shoe. So you can decide to increase it, reduce it. I think I'm increasing, so I can just reduce the opacity. Yeah, beautiful. You can change the blend mode to color. If you feel it's going to affect any other thing in your image, you can just change it to color and reduce the opacity. So I'm going to create a stamp visible layer above all of this. Yeah, go to my filter, go to camera raw, increase the saturation a little, create a vignette effect, and we are done. So go to effect, create a vignette effect to it, probably take up the saturation just slightly, cool things down a little if you wish to, reduce the highlight a little because of that dress as well. Beautiful. Now it's probably a little bit of the vibrance, a little bit in the shadow area, and we are good to go. So let me quickly show you the overall before and after of the image when we started. I'm going to go to my history, create a snapshot. So this was the image when we came into Photoshop, flat, nothing, and this is how much we've been able to transform it. I believe this is very close to the after you saw in the beginning of the video. Now, at this point, let me show you a few things that we want to also check out. So I'm going to take it steps back. Yeah, I'm going to remove this stamp visible layer. So I want to show you how versatile this background that I showed you initially can be for your images, how versatile it can be. So at this point, I'm just going to be changing the background. I will not affect any other thing, just the background, and you see how beautifully well it's going to be fitting in. So I'm going to hide this, pull up another background. Let's try this one over the image like this. Just scale it in good enough. Make sure that it's looking like they are standing right there. Okay, so I think the background, the chair cannot be that long. Yeah, this is good. Can position it here. Let's just find a very good spot for them. Or even push the chair to the corner of the room. Yeah, stretch things out a little. So the reason I'm stretching is just to quickly show you a very big preview. Stretching is a very unprofessional way of doing this. You know what? Let's just scale him. Let's start afresh. Okay, so we just bring that in. Where is it? Yeah, this. Place it over here. Make sure our object is here. Put our anchor point and scale in. So once you get to the point where you think, okay, this is where it should be, we can now use our marquee tool to just make some adjustments. All right, so this was good. Press OK. Now let's change the blend mode to overlay. This is still not looking realistic to me. I'm going to still bring it in again. All right, so I'm going to be placing him by the edge, scale him in that much, just by the edge. You know what, guys? I'm going to leave this. Let's try something else. All right, so let's try another background. Let's see how this works for this image. Beautiful. This is good. Nice. Okay, so this just works perfectly. Change the blend mode to overlay. Let's see how that handles the image. Oh my God, look at how realistic that looks. This is the other one mixing with it. If you wish to create that visual effect, that is cool. Look at the way it's looking so realistic, as if they are standing there by those adjustments we made. We are not changing any other thing, just the background, and we are getting amazing results. Let's see how this will work as well. Okay, nice one. place it somewhere here. Press OK. Let's change the blend mode to overlay, and amazing result as well. But that doesn't fit the image. Let's do one more. Let's try this one. Beautiful. Okay, this will work. So one thing I wanted to do was that I'm going to leave it like this, rasterize the layer, go to my market tool, make a selection this way, go to the edit, go to content aware scale, hold your shift and drag this down. So it's going to drag it down in such a way that it looks like it's also part of the whole thing. Then change the blend mode to overlay and see how realistic it keeps looking. It keeps looking just by changing other backgrounds. So quickly go to the link, aka purchase, and trust me, this is coming at a token. This is coming at a token because we are dedicated to giving back to photographers, to giving back to our community. So we'll make sure that our products are highly affordable by any beginner, so that you can also elevate your work to the next level and be able to get whatever result you want to get at the end of the day. So this will be the last one. Beautiful. Press OK, change the blend mode to overlay, and see how realistic it keeps looking. Thank you for watching this amazing video. See you on the very next one. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the notification bell so that you get notified every single time we drop this kind of videos, because we do this a lot, step-by-step guide from scratch to finish, especially not so amazing images. Try as much as we can to bring it to life, to show you things you can play around with. Same image that you think is flat, that is what we do here. So make sure you on the notification bell to get notified every single time we drop a new video on this channel. Until then, see you on the next one.